Hello everyone, it's been quite a ride to the Wicked movie, hasn't it? Wicked Part 1. It's been a movie that while it hasn't had any behind-the-scenes controversy in terms of the production of the movie, it has had controversy regarding its cast and various things that have happened with that, controversies that have happened with its merchandising. Now, you might not know this about me, but I'm actually a big fan of Broadway musicals.
You know, I'm something of a
Broadway musical connoisseur.
myself.
Not that I've ever been able to see one, but I just love the musicals themselves. I listen to the soundtracks. I've listened to the Wicked soundtracks. So I do have an investment in seeing these films done right on the big screen. However, the reason why I didn't talk about the Wicked movie much is because when I saw the trailers, they just didn't look very good. They kind of looked like commercials. The color grade was really, really flat, and it just didn't really get me very hyped for this adaptation of the play or these versions of the characters. And then everyone was saying that this movie was the best thing ever coming out of fan screenings, and I was very, very skeptical. Does this movie really turn out like people say? I mean, it's part one of a story, a play that's only 3 hours long, and this movie, as the first half of it, is almost 3 hours long in and of itself. There's no way it can work out. There's no way it can actually be good. So I saw it, and is it good? Yes! Shockingly so! Like, what, do you guys think I hate everything? No, I am very surprised and very pleased that the Wicked movie actually turned out, like, shocked is the word I'm going to use today. That I cannot believe, with everything that seemed to be going against this movie, that it actually turned out as a fantastic show. And just really big props to the director and everyone involved with this film in terms of a movie that they really seem to care about the source material, the characters that they are playing, and they absolutely pulled it off. Is it perfect? No, it has one very prominent flaw that goes throughout the entire movie that we are going to talk about in a minute. But overall, it was one of the best experiences I've had with a movie this year, and I cannot wait to go see it again a second time, maybe even a third time, and the crowd really seemed to love it, and it was just what cinema is made for. These are the kind of blockbuster experiences that cinema is made for. And definitely the best modern day musical that I've seen in a very, very long time. So for a quick rundown of the plot for those who aren't familiar with it, Wicked is about Elphaba, a social outcast who was born green, who winds up being accepted into a school because of her natural sorcery abilities. While there, she becomes roommates with a self-absorbed girl named Glinda, and the story chronicles their rivalry that becomes a friendship. All the while, Elphaba becomes invested in the growing mistreatment of the animals of the land and hopes to visit the Wizard of Oz in hopes that he will be able to do something to stop it. The meeting does not go as planned. Now, to get into the overall view of the Wicked movie and what experience you're going to have with it, we need to talk about the good of the film and also the prevailing flaw. Now, here is the big worry that I had going into the film was, once again, the length. The fact that this is a nearly 3-hour movie that's just the first half of an only 3-hour play. And that is the part that shocked me the most, that surprisingly it holds up even with the longer length. However, that is also part of the plot, because while it holds up, and I was very impressed by how they were able to turn the first act of a play into a 3-act movie, both kept a pace that was always giving me development of the characters, fantastic musical sequences, and a good gradual build-up of the story. However, there were times throughout the entire movie where it felt padded out, and I was wondering, okay, why can't we just wrap this scene up now? Why aren't we moving forward in the story? And that was a detriment to the movie, that there were times where I thought that certain scenes or song numbers were dragged out too long. And here's how they did it. For example, there'll be a song like Popular that is only like 3 minutes in the original play. This version of it did little interludes in the middle or little extenders of the song to make it just a little bit longer.
La 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 la, you'll be popular. La 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 la.
And that's what the experience is like watching the entire film. It's like there's just incremental changes and extenders throughout the entire film. And it means that we still have necessary scenes throughout the film that we're experiencing, but they're just a little bit longer throughout the film than they need to be. And the musical sequences are overall a little bit longer than they need to be. And that is why the film both holds together, but at the same time, it still could have been a little shorter. It still feels padded. And that's confusing to me because this movie did not need to be 2 hours and 40 minutes. minutes long. They won me over, and what they won me over on is the fact that they could make part one of the play into a movie in and of itself. And I'm like, that actually works. You got it to work. You got me to win me over on that point. However, it's like there's 20 minutes of this film that doesn't need to be there, and just like shortening scenes, shortening song sequences, that if you just done that and made it tighter and kept the pace a little bit faster in terms of the development that we get, it would have been a masterpiece of a film. And that was the one frustrating place, is it's like you were so close and you got it to work. This is the first time I've ever seen it work where they split a story into a longer part and actually got it to work. But it's like, if you just had made this movie shorter, then it would have worked out a lot better. It's not about length so much. You could have done a 3-hour adaptation of the play itself, exactly as it was done and work, because we've seen movies like Avengers Endgame, big movies that people are willing to sit there for 3 hours to see. It's not really about length, it's about bloat. You just need to keep it tight and keep all the scenes that you need there. Just keep the scenes that are the best and that are the most relevant to the plot, and you'll be fine. You don't risk losing anybody. That said, that is the only flaw I can think about with this film. It's just, it was a little too bloated. I think the reason why people are walking out of the film and not even thinking about that part is the ending, Defying Gravity, and that was the song that I really wanted to see in the movie. It is just done so well, and they did lengthen, and that is the one song that they did lengthen, not in terms of adding anything to it, but just these little interludes in between it, that I thought it really, really worked and was really, really powerful. And that was just a show-stopping ending, and I think that that is what everyone is reacting to coming out of this movie and why they think it's so good. It's always about the most important thing you can do in your movie is how you end it. That is the last thing, the last feeling that your audience is going to have, and they absolutely nailed it with this plot. Speaking of the songs sequences were the most fun part of the movie for me, and once again, I think that the best songs, apart from Defying Gravity, where I think that they justified lengthening it, it's 5 minutes in the original play, at least in the original cast recording, and it's 7 minutes, or nearly 8 minutes now. I think that that one really justified its lengthening, but I gotta say though, the best songs, like What Is This Feeling, one of my favorite sequences in the movie, they just kept it as it was in the original play. They just did it like it was, and they didn't change anything, and it was great. It was highly entertaining, and it's like, you know, if you just tightened this a little bit, then it would have been that height through the entire movie. But it is what it is, and it was a great song sequences for them all, and all the cast is really great in this movie. You know, for all the controversy that they've gotten themselves into, Ariana Grande was my favorite part of this movie. She just plays Glinda so well, so quirky, and so endearing, even with the selfishness of the character. She's just so endearing, and she was the best part in the movie, and I understand why she's getting Oscar buzz around her with this role. She was just so wonderful to watch, and she has great chemistry with Cynthia Erivo. Cynthia Erivo also does a great job in this film, and she does a great job with the song sequences. She has a very, very powerful voice. She really plays her character with a lot of nuance. Her flaws, where she's very, very defensive as a character, understandably so, but still very, very defensive and closed off. But also, you really get a sensitivity from her, and she was really, really great. The only thing I can say is not really a criticism of her, but just that no one will ever beat Idina Menzel in this role or with the songs. Idina Menzel does appear in a cameo and gets to sing in this movie, which I thought was fantastic, along with Kristen Chernovic. I think I pronounced her name wrong, I'm sorry, but they appear, and I thought that was just a great Easter egg. But Idina Menzel had that certain witch-like voice and a certain unique shape to her face that I think made her the perfect Elphaba, and that's not a knock against Cynthia Erivo, it's just that Idina Menzel was Elphaba, and I think that her voice is just so powerful as the character, nothing will ever top it. But Cynthia Erivo does do a very, very good job with this role and with the musical sequences, and I found myself listening to the soundtrack of this movie specifically right after I came out of it. In terms of the themes of this movie, I'm going to go back to Grace Randolph, and I don't mean to keep ripping on things that she says, but I did listen to her review of this movie, and she planted this idea in my head. She was like, oh, this is very, very thematically heavy. Are people in today's modern age going to accept that? And I'm like, the themes of this movie are the same in the 90s play. It's just about not judging other people, not putting other people down, not being selfish, equality in the very, very basic sense. And I'm like, you know, even though there's always unfortunately going to be racism and inequality and stuff like that, but most people today, I think, would agree with those themes. And I think you're going to see that with this movie. Like, Wicked is a beloved property, and I think that this movie is going to get a lot of money. I thought that it did its themes very, very well. And I thought that the moment when Alphaba, this person has the curse of being green her entire life, really gets worked up about putting the animals down, because she emphasized with that, because that's what she's been put through her entire life. She's put down, she's ridiculed and put aside. I really, really felt that in the performance. So I thought that they did a very, very good job of it. So I want to give this maybe I want to say 9 out of 10 in terms of just having watched it. It's probably closer to an 8 out of 10 just because of those problems with length. But I think if you are a fan of the play, the Broadway play, the songs as I was, or just musicals in general, I think you will really love this film. In terms of the color grade and stuff like that I was talking about, yeah, that does kind of annoy me that the color grade of the movie is still very, very flat. And color grading, sometimes I think it's the bane of storytelling's existence. Some movies it really works well in, but the fact that they feel that they need to put it on everything and not just have natural lighting, like, why wouldn't you do something more colorful for something that is like Wicked, where you had a great marketing campaign with all the green and the pink, and then when you see the movie, a lot of it is flat and muddied, and it's like, why would you do that? Why would you ruin this movie? Even just going for a natural look for it. I just don't understand why they did that. Ultimately, though, it is a very superficial thing, and it did not take away from the experience with this movie. So 100% recommend going see Wicked. It is going to be huge at the box office, and it looks like we are posed to have a great winter season at the movies, with Moana 2 getting good reviews. And so I was very, very pleased. I can't wait to see this movie again. And see, I don't hate everything. I like things when they are good, and this was a good movie. I'm sorry I keep hitting my mic, but thank you all for watching this review. I hope that you'll check out Wicked if you are a big fan of musicals and good cinema in general, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you, patrons, as always.